So my name is Khadijah Ibrahiim. I'm a poet and a multidisciplinary artist, which means I work in theatre, I create events, I work with textiles, and I do a range of other activities. I'd like to describe myself as a literary activist more than anything. The object that I chose is a photograph, a black and white photograph of my grandmother, Lucilda, born in 1925. That was her passport photograph, and if my mind serves me right, she arrived in England 1959. Before 1960 anyway, she arrived in England. My grandfather came first, and then he sent for my grandmother. And I chose that my grandmother's portrait because it's her passport photograph and it represents journey. It also represents that sense of connection to landscape, the environment, and that sense of wellness and well-being. But also, she's always a beacon in my life. It's a photograph that's on my fireplace, or as we call it, the mantle, and I see her every day. She passed in 1999, and she was such an inspiration. I hadn't realized until she passed how much of an inspiration, until I missed her. And I realized I'd speak to grandma, not all the time, but sometimes when I was trying to work something out, or I'd see her and she'd be asking me, how's your day? It'd be something. But she always had an investment in family and wellness. And also, what I really appreciated about my grandmother is that as much as that she was strict, it was a kindness. So she never raised her voice. She would lecture you for a long time, but never raised her voice. She really gave me a sense of ownership of who I am and to step into womanhood. When I had my first child, I was quite young. Yeah, I had him 10 days before my 17th birthday. And everybody thought that the world was ending for me, apart from grandma. And grandma turned and says to me, I had my three children at that time, really young, before I was 20. And look at me, and the world is not ending at all. There's so much things out there for you. And she championed everything that I did, and just a beautiful soul. And so when I'm writing, or when I feel frustrated, or sometimes when I feel that something's not working for me, or I feel energy that's not correct, I'll talk to her. She was a person that we never had to go to church with grandma. She wasn't that person, because church was in your home, and she was also someone that loved the environment, so she made everything from scratch, whether it was clothes or food. Her and Grandad kept a back garden, which was like an allotment, so they grew everything in the back garden, and everything had a purpose. And I've learnt a lot through my grandmother in terms of I'm not a herbalist, but I think I am, because I'm always dealing with bush teas. I've got an ailment, what would grandma boil? And I always refer to her. So when I'm speaking to mainly my auntie, her daughter, my auntie would say, your grandma used to do that, or your grandma would say that, or you like your grandmother, and that pleases me. So the object is the photograph because of the connection.